Welcome to week 12 of our course. In this lecture, we are going to learn more about how values and emotions impact motivation in the workplace. After completing the learning tasks for this week, you should be able to explain how values and context interact and influence motivation. We will look at 3 contextual variables: culture, job characteristics, and person-environment fit. You should also be able to describe the role that emotions and moods play in motivating employees, and explain how perceptions of justice impact motivation. Let's begin with some examples of values, and then we'll define them. You may be familiar with Rokish's taxonomy of values. This classification system divides 36 values into 2 categories: 18 instrumental values and 18 terminal values, which are both shown here. Terminal values on the left are our end goals, the things we want to accomplish in our lifetime: happiness, true friendship, self-respect. Instrumental values on the right are our immediate goals, the behaviors we use to live our lives and to get us to our terminal values: intellectual, independent, honest. Take a moment to identify your top 3 values in each category for a total of 6 values. Then consider how these values have influenced your behavior throughout your lifetime. Now let's define values. In the early part of the 21st century, Hofstede defined values as the broad tendency to prefer certain states of affairs over others. Each one of us has preferences for how we live, like the preference for freedom over wealth, or the preference for responsibility over cleanliness. These preferences vary in importance as well. We may hold all of the values listed on the previous slide, but some are more important than others. These preferences or principles then guide our everyday behavior, just as personality does. Values have also been described as trans-situational goals, in that they guide behavior across situations. They are bigger and broader than the specific goals and tasks we select to get things done. But values are different from personality in that values are more dynamic, changeable. They are developed through cognition and experience, meaning we can play a more active role in shaping our own values. We can decide when certain values are no longer working for us. We can decide to take on new values. It's much more difficult for us to change our personality. We will learn more about goals later in the course, but for now, it's important for us to distinguish between values and goals. Think of goals as the mechanism or the medium or the way that values lead to our behavior and performance. Goals are more specific than values and are focused on immediate goals, things in the present or near future that we want to accomplish. So our values influence the goals we set for ourselves, and our goals then influence how we behave and eventually our performance, whether we reach our goal, whether we meet the organization's expectations. Personality traits and values are also similar in that they have a distal influence on job performance. In other words, the impact of values is not direct. They influence performance through other mechanisms, goals being one of them. Within the field of psychology, Many experts take on the interactionist approach, which was established and promoted by Kurt Lewin decades ago. Interactionists highlight the interaction between the person and their environment. They argue that the situation, the context, interacts with employees' needs, personality traits, and values to influence their behavior. In this lecture, we are going to consider the influence of 3 contextual variables: culture, job characteristics, and person-environment fit.